Everybody, you may be seated. I'm going to give you guys a gift tonight. I'm going to give you guys part of something that can help individual lives, that can help families. It will help you. If you have a family, your family, because if you're doing well and you're the only one in your family, then it's not good enough. It will help you extend the light of redemption to your family. And when I say light of redemption, I don't just mean that people in your family are born again or saved. No, they need to be saved and they need to start having dominion in their different endeavors. Then this is going to help the church. No, you need to sit down, Then this is going to help Ebonyi State. And wherever you are watching, it will help your nation. It will help your organization. It will help. Let me say this, especially for those who are leaders, politicians, men of God here. I'm from Southeast Nigeria. My wife is from Abia State. So I have a special burden for Southeast. Special burden. I have a tremendous love for this country called Nigeria, and I have a special burden to this part of the country because that's where I'm from. You want your Jerusalem to be in order. Jesus sent us to the whole world. But like Paul, I have a burden for my own people. While we are blessing the whole world so that the home front will not be in disarray. So whenever I have assignment in any part of Igbo land, double grace rests upon me because of the apostleship the Lord has given us over our own people. You have to know that God raises Moses for his people. I'm not saying to call me Moses, but he does that. Ministry and callings is territorial. Even though the Great Commission is to the whole world, you have to know what part of that whole world is your own assignment. Rehab Bonke said he met with his friend Benihin and they sat down to pray. There were three friends. Rehab Bonke, Benihin, and Remakoli. They were covenant brothers. And they went to seek God to define what section of the Great Commission is their own. Because you can't leave your own job and do another man's job. You have to know what it is God has called you. Some people are running up and down everywhere. Until it's over, they find that there is nothing. And out of that period of discerning the will of God and prayer, to them, Ben-Hinn said his mandate was the Western nations, starting with U.S. Rehoboam was Africa. Remakoli was South Africa. You won't see Remakoli jumping around. He built Rema Church, set the highest standard South Africa had. And that inspired thousands of ministers across that nation. And his was pastoral. He went for training under Kenny Hagin, came back, built Rema Church. There is no branch of it in Nigeria. There is no branch of it. It's not his assignment. People just think just because somebody else is doing something, Bonke is traveling every nation. As a Remakori, you need to be traveling every nation. You know, if it is the thinking here, since Bonke is your friend, you'll be following him and planting churches everywhere. Not everybody is called to do that. You're going to create problem you don't have capacity to handle. Find your calling and stay in it. I'm talking to leaders. That's how it is in business. That's how it is in other areas. Make money with this, create a foundation and use it to touch lives. There are people called into politics. There are those called into business. There are those called into ministry. There are those called into education. All these are callings, my friends. Ambition is driving us crazy. So, Benny Hinn, US, Rehoboth, Africa. Towards the end of their lives, Benny Hinn is still there, younger. But when Rehoboth was now approaching his late 60s, he now said that throughout the work he did in Africa, most of the fund and the partners that provided the money were from one nation, US. Most of the aircraft, they didn't buy aircraft, but the people that would provide aircraft each time there's a crusade to carry all the equipment and give it to them free, like Kenneth Copeland and others, they're all from US. Most of the people financing, you have people financing crusades, 12 crusades every year from US. And now US is going down spiritually. He said, he talked with the Lord about it, and the Lord said, just before you die, you go to heaven. You can go and help Benny Hinn in doing something, because even his ministry has a limit. He has all this anointing, but it has a limit. There's certain aspects he's not tackling. And then he moved to US, moved to Florida, relocated, beautiful site. That's where he lived till he died. And then he began to help with North America without tampering with the original assignment. Once a month, there's a crusade in Africa. Once in a month. You can see that his last crusade was in Nigeria. Africa shall be saved. That's Benny Hinn came here a few times, on crusades too. But he comes to Africa too. But that's not his primary. What God will judge you is based on what he called you to do. Any extra you do will be appreciated by heaven after you have done what you are asked to do. So in the resurrection, Rehoboth will rise an African. Paelton will rise a Nigerian. His assignment was Nigeria, not Africa. You won't hear Paelton going to Ghana, going to South Africa, going anywhere. He labored for Nigeria, died for Nigeria, was buried in Nigeria. He's going to rise a Nigerian. Bonke will rise an African. Bonke's inheritance will have to do with the continent. They say be in charge over 5 cities. This man be in charge over 10 cities. Who is going to rise with an Ebonyi state as his inheritance? It's not the politicians. Except a politician that did politics as ministry. It's not the wealthy people. Except certain few that have understanding, that use money to do ministry. Who will be rewarded with a Ebonyi state? So me, I know exactly what it is that I'm going to be contending for at the judgment seat of Christ. And that's what I'm giving maximum attention. I'm not going to tell you that you see, one of them is the issue of the Nigerian youths. Your assignment is geographical, but your assignment is also a people. So purpose or calling has two definitions. Purpose is the problem you were created to solve. And anytime you see that problem, it annoys you. That's one problem that gets you very angry, that steers your anger. Anything you tolerate, you cannot change. To change anything, you have to rise above it. And your purpose is that problem that activates your energy. That area where you have an inborn passion. Even if they don't pay you, you will still want to do it. So that's why I'm burning my life for the young people. There is another thing I won't tell you. But you heard what I said about our people. Uh-huh. So who served them the most and who sacrificed the most. That's how they grade, though. Not who is riding a big car. It's who served. It's servant leadership that God rewards. Who wants to be the greatest among you is the one that will become your servant. And then who sacrificed the most. So when Jesus returned, do you know who will rule Israel? It's not David. He told his apostles, you will sit on 12 thrones ruling over the house of Israel. So each tribe of Israel, one apostle, and Judas lost his own because of greed, money. And once they start ruling, no election again. And then they will look at the national level. And it's going to be hard. They'll probably have the elders council 12. And I'm sure Abraham and all the patriarchs will be there. But then they look at the national level. It's then they will know whether David qualifies to be there. Whether the level of sacrifices he made for Israel beat every other person. I don't know. Because Jesus is not going to be king of Israel. Jerusalem is going to be his international headquarters. The seat of the global government will not be in Washington or in US. It's going to be in Jerusalem. He sits there to rule the whole world. What he gave his life for was not just for the Jews. He died for the whole world. That people are getting saved all over the world. People are being healed all over the world. It's because of the sacrifice of Christ. And that's what he's being rewarded for. What will you be rewarded for? So there has to be a regent that rules Jerusalem. That rules Israel from Jerusalem. It's possible. I've been doing comparison among the ones that made tremendous sacrifices. David made. Then, I don't know if David's sacrifice beats the sacrifice of Paul. But Paul is not about Jerusalem. Paul is about the Gentiles. But Paul's ministry did not touch Africa. He touched Asia Minor and later to Rome. That's where his reward will come from. You are not going to collect another man's crown. You are going to collect what you labored for. When you realize this, you get serious. Who will be given a Bonny state? Because the other ones will probably be local governments and then down to wards. It's like who will be given Eastern Nigeria? It's not the oppressors who are looking for how to cheat their own people. It's who is burning his life for them. And so what I do is I look for the highest standards of sacrifice, of service that have been set. Then I set that as my only competition. I don't compete with my generation. I don't compete with young people. I compete with the patriarchs. And then I now look for how to do greater works, how to sacrifice more. Who is going to collect a Bonny state? It's not who wants to be the biggest man of God. It's not who is making noise. Not who sows our water that is dragging on the ground, collecting dust. Who buys the biggest jeep. If you like, be wasting your time and be pursuing shadow. And the age is winding up and the return of Christ is just on the corner. And soon now it will be time for reward, for report cards. Those who have sense are focusing their mind on the goal. The Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom. Two things, service and sacrifice. 2S decides your fate. Service, you see how he burned his life for the people. Tomorrow I'm going to be addressing your young people and your political class, the same thing. Watch me every time I come. There is now a confusion in ministry because we have a new breed of priesthood who are trying to compete with politicians, compete with businessmen to show that they have the biggest car, biggest this. And they are distorting the message of Jesus. And they are confusing the young people. Because you don't know now which model to follow. So what the Lord told me, he said, I'll give you the same success, but then use it and point people in the right direction. Because if you don't, they will say it's because he doesn't have the money. It's because he can't afford. You see? He said, I will even give you more. Oh Lord, I thank you. Ministry is service. Leadership is service. So you see, that's why my assignment is graded. So there are areas I'm putting in everything. Then as we now fight for the national and the global platform, because I know it's going to be very tough there. But the areas I'm burning all my bridges. I'm not burning so that you can tell me thank you. I'm burning in readiness for the judgment seat of Christ. That well done, good and faithful servant, you've been faithful over this, be in charge over. That's all. Just like he served even unto, and the Father has highly exalted him. The next will be our own time. So even if it's your family, the greatest in your family, you people are 7, 3 girls, 4 boys. Your parents gave birth to. The greatest is not the one that is the richest. The greatest is the one that not only that goes beyond himself to take the burdens of others. The greatest is not the one that built the biggest mansion. There is something greater than success. It is the success of people that became successful through you. I want to say it again. There is something greater than success. Personal success is not where success is. It is the beginning of success. Corporate success is the real success. There is something greater than success. It's legacy. It is the people that your life saved, the people your life empowered, the people whose destinies were changed because of you, because of one man's sacrifice. 2-point-something billion people are affected, and the whole world is affected. That one man's life has redefined the world. You know, today we measure history by BC and AD. BC is before Christ, AD is after the death of Christ. There are 2 things you will be remembered for: the problems you solved or the problems you created. You know, troublemakers, they are remembered, but not good remembering. And we still remember the devil. Troublemakers too are remembered, but in a bad light.